Have you ever felt the sheer, bone-deep exhaustion of it? The quiet, relentless, lifelong performance of being the good one. Perhaps you are the good daughter, the one who set aside her own wild, creative dreams for a stable career, to make her parents proud, the one who never raises her voice, who swallows her disappointments with a placid smile. Or maybe you are the good colleague, the dependable one, the person who stays late, takes on extra work without complaint, and smooths over every conflict, all while your own ambition quietly starves in the corner. You might be the good partner, the rock, the calm in every storm, the one who soothes every anxiety and meets every need, forgetting that you too have needs, that you too have storms raging within your own soul. The world looks at you and applauds. They call you strong, selfless, kind, reliable. They build pedestals for you. But at 3 a.m, when the house is still and the only sound is the beating of your own heart, do you ever lie awake feeling like a fraud, a beautifully crafted hollow doll, perfect on the outside, but empty within? A strange, gnawing anxiety hums just beneath the surface of your carefully constructed peace. A sense of profound inauthenticity, as if you're living someone else's life. You do everything right, you follow every rule, yet a whisper from the deepest part of you asks, is this all there is? This endless, draining performance of goodness? If that whisper sounds familiar, if that hollowness resonates within you, then I want you to know you are standing at a sacred threshold. You are at the beginning of a journey that the brilliant Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung believed was the most important a human being could ever take. It is not a journey to become a better person, a more perfect person. It is a journey to become a whole person. And this journey does not lead outward, toward more accolades or greater perfection. It leads inward. It leads down. As Jung himself wrote, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Today, we will begin the process of awakening. We will do this by turning our gaze inward to the architecture of our own soul, and by finding the courage to visit the one room we've been taught our entire lives to fear and ignore, the darkness we carry within. Imagine, right now, that your entire being, your personality, your memories, your sense of self, is a vast and intricate house. This is the house of your psyche, and you have lived within its walls your entire life. The upstairs rooms are magnificent. They are bathed in sunlight, the floors are polished, the walls are adorned with your proudest achievements. This is your conscious mind, the version of you that you present to the world. Here, you have the grand living room of kindness, where you host others with effortless grace. You have the tidy office of responsibility, where you meet every deadline and fulfill every duty. You have the serene sunroom of calm and composure, a space where no messy emotions are ever allowed to stain the furniture. This is the version of you that is loved, admired, and accepted. This public-facing self is what Jung called the persona, named after the masks worn by actors in ancient Greek theater. And it is a vital, necessary tool. Jung knew we needed a persona. It is a compromise between individual and society as to what a man should appear to be. It allows us to function, to connect, to navigate the complex social world. The problem is not that the mask exists. The problem for so many of us is that we have worn it for so long we have forgotten it is a mask. We have mistaken our carefully decorated living room for the entirety of our house. But in every house, there is a foundation. In every psyche, there is a world beneath the polished floors of consciousness. In a forgotten hallway of your mind, there is a heavy, bolted door. It's covered in cobwebs, and the key has been lost for years. This door leads down to the basement, and you have an unspoken primal understanding that this door must remain shut at all costs. Down there, in the dark, damp, an unaired cellar of your soul. You have exiled everything deemed unworthy of the sunlit rooms upstairs. Every flash of rage you were told was unladylike. Every surge of selfish desire you were taught was wrong. Every tear of vulnerability you shamed yourself for as weakness. Every wild, untamed, creative impulse you dismissed as unrealistic. Every flicker of envy, every shadow of greed, every moment of profound doubt. This, in Jung's profound terminology, is your shadow. It is the dumping ground for all the disowned and rejected parts of your humanity. Everyone carries a shadow. Jung wrote, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. We all have one, not because we are flawed, but because we are socialized. From the moment we are born, we learn through the smiles and frowns of our caregivers which parts of us are acceptable and which are not. The good parts we develop and display in our persona. The bad parts we repress, pushing them down into the unconscious, into the basement. And we spend a lifetime guarding that door, terrified that if we were to open it, a hideous monster would emerge and burn our beautiful house to the ground. But here is the radical, life-altering truth that forms the core of Jungian psychology. The real danger isn't what's locked in the basement. The real danger is the locked door itself. Repression is not elimination. The energy of these disowned parts doesn't simply vanish. It festers. It mutates in the dark. It builds pressure. And eventually, it begins to seep through the floorboards. It leaks out sideways, poisoning the atmosphere of the entire house. It manifests as that sudden, inexplicable depression that descends on a perfectly fine day. It's the chronic soul-crushing fatigue that no amount of rest can cure. It's the free-floating anxiety that follows you like a shadow. Ironically, it's the self-sabotaging behavior that derails you just as you're about to succeed. And most insidiously, it appears as projection. The very qualities that infuriate us, that we judge most harshly in other people, are often the screaming, unrecognized reflections of our own exiled shadow. As Jung powerfully stated, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. We think we are living in a bright, orderly home, but we are unknowingly held hostage by the contents of our own cellar. The constant, exhausting effort required to keep that door bolted is the true source of our emptiness, the reason we feel like imposters in our own lives. We are living a half-life, cut off from our own power, our own vitality, our own wholeness. If this metaphor of a house divided, of a life lived only in the upstairs rooms, is beginning to unlock a new understanding for you, I invite you to subscribe to Mind Decode Explained. Together, we explore these hidden corridors of the mind, seeking not simple fixes, but the profound healing that comes from true self-knowledge. The grand work of a human life, the journey Jung called individuation, is the process of finally turning toward that locked door. It is the courageous act of forging a key, turning the lock, and with a lantern of gentle curiosity in hand, taking the first tentative steps down into the darkness to meet what has been waiting there. This is the essence of shadow work, and it is here that we must dismantle a critical and dangerous misconception. The modern world often misunderstands shadow work as a permission slip to indulge our darkest impulses, to become selfish, cruel, or destructive under the banner of authenticity. This is a complete perversion of Jung's teachings. He was adamant that the goal is not to unleash the shadow, but to integrate it. The aim is not to let the monster run rampant through the house. It is to walk down into the basement, discover that what you thought was a monster is actually a wounded, powerful, and neglected part of yourself, and bring it upstairs into the healing light of consciousness. Integration is the alchemy of turning lead into gold. It is admitting, without flinching, yes, a part of me is capable of terrible envy. A part of me holds deep rage. A part of me can be profoundly selfish. Making these parts conscious does not mean acting them out blindly. On the contrary, It is the only way to stop acting them out unconsciously. A person who is unconscious of their anger lets it leak out in passive aggression and cutting remarks. A person who has integrated their anger can harness its fiery energy as a force for setting firm boundaries and fighting for justice. As Jung clarified, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. True morality is not found in the person who pretends they have no darkness. It is found in the person who has looked their own capacity for destruction in the eye and, from a place of awareness, consciously chooses integrity, compassion, and love. That is a goodness with roots. That is a goodness that can withstand the storms of life. Now, this descent can feel daunting. So how do we begin? We don't start by kicking the door in. We start by listening at the keyhole. The shadow is always communicating with us, trying to get our attention. We have just been taught to call its language something else. It speaks to us in our dreams. Jung saw dreams not as random neural firings, but as direct, uncensored letters from the unconscious. That recurring dream of being chased, it might be your shadow self begging you to stop running from it. That dream where you commit a shocking act, it might be the unconscious presenting you with a repressed impulse, not for you to act on it, but for you to acknowledge its existence. The shadow also speaks in our physical symptoms, the chronic back pain that holds our unexpressed burdens, the tension headaches fueled by unspoken resentments. And, as we've touched on, it speaks most clearly through our emotional triggers and projections. Think of that one person, a colleague, a family member, a public figure who you just can't stand. List the qualities that drive you crazy about them. Are they arrogant? Lazy? Too loud? Too needy? Now, here is the courageous step. Ask yourself, in a moment of radical honesty, where in my own life have I been forbidden to express that exact quality? In what way have I exiled my own assertiveness, my own need for rest, my own voice, my own vulnerability? This is not to excuse the other person's behavior, but to use your reaction as a mirror. Your intense emotional charge is the key, showing you exactly where the door to your own basement is located. And here, we must explore one of the most beautiful and often overlooked aspects of the shadow. It does not only contain our negative traits. This is what Jungians call the golden shadow. We also repress our most brilliant and powerful positive qualities. If you grew up in a family that valued humility above all else, you might have learned that your ambition and your desire to shine were arrogant and shameful. So, you locked your radiant inner leader, your brilliant strategist, down in the basement. Now, as an adult, you constantly shy away from opportunities and feel a bitter envy toward those who confidently take the stage. That envy is your golden shadow, your disowned ambition calling to you from the dark, begging to be integrated so you can live up to your full potential. If you were a sensitive, artistic boy raised in a culture that demanded stoicism and toughness, you may have exiled your own tenderness, your creativity, your deep emotional intelligence. You locked your inner artist and healer in the basement. Now you might live a life that feels gray and meaningless, drawn to but also critical of emotionally expressive or creative people. Their freedom is a painful reminder of the part of yourself you abandoned. The journey into the basement is not just about confronting demons. It's about rescuing angels. It is about reclaiming the lost gold of your own being. Jung was clear on this. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is the real work. This journey of integration is the pathway to individuation, the process of becoming a psychologically individual or an undivided whole self. It is the lifelong project of shedding the collective masks and expectations to become the unique person you were always meant to be. It is not a path to perfection. It is a path to completeness, and it is paved with internal conflict. Jung believed that the tension between opposites was the very source of life's energy. The psyche is a battleground of opposing forces, conscious versus unconscious, thinking versus feeling, Persona versus shadow. Our modern culture teaches us to seek comfort, to eliminate tension, to find a conflict-free existence. Jung would say this is a recipe for a deadened life. True vitality is born from learning how to hold the tension of opposites within yourself. It's about being able to hold your capacity for love in one hand and your capacity for rage in the other and not fall apart. It's about honoring your need for community, while also honoring your need for solitude. The goal is not to have the light defeat the darkness. The goal is to build a psyche strong enough to contain both. As Jung beautifully put it, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. A person with no shadow is a person with no substance. This brings us to the most uncomfortable and liberating truth about being a good person. For so many of us, our goodness is a strategy born of fear. We are good because we fear rejection. We are good because we fear criticism. We are good because we are terrified of the messiness of our own unexamined humanity. It is a brittle, anxious goodness, a performance that requires constant maintenance and leaves us perpetually drained. Jung invites us to a far more robust and authentic form of goodness, a goodness that arises from wholeness. This is a goodness that isn't about being nice. It's about being real. It isn't about suppressing your anger, but about alchemizing it into a clear, focused passion for what is right. It isn't about denying your own needs, but about meeting them so fully that you can give to others from a place of genuine overflow, not resentful obligation. It is a goodness that has made peace with its own shadow, and because of that, it can look upon the shadows of others, not with judgment, but with profound compassion. It knows that the same darkness it sees in the world exists within itself. And this knowledge is the foundation of true empathy. So, as we bring our exploration to a close, let us return one last time to the house of your psyche. The sunlit rooms upstairs are beautiful. Your persona, your capacity for kindness and responsibility, is a gift. Do not tear it down. But the house is incomplete, it is unstable, without its foundation, without its basement. The invitation of this work is to finally, courageously, become the master of your entire home. Imagine, now, forging that key from compassionate self-awareness. Imagine walking to that old dusty door, not with fear, but with a sense of sacred purpose. Imagine turning the key, feeling the old lock click open. Imagine pushing the door and seeing not a monster, but a flight of stairs leading down into the quiet dark. And as you descend, lantern in hand, you begin to see what's really there. In one corner sits a frightened child, clutching the anger you were never allowed to show. In another, a brilliant artist is covered in dust, holding the creativity you were told was impractical. In the center is a fierce, powerful protector, holding the boundaries you were too afraid to set. These are not monsters. They are the lost, exiled children of your soul, and they have been waiting for you, their conscious self, to come and bring them home. The journey of becoming whole is the great work of a lifetime. It is not a destination, but a continuous process of descent and return, of darkness and illumination. It will be messy. It will be challenging. It may be the hardest thing you ever do, and it will be, without question, the most rewarding. You will cease to be merely a good person, a two-dimensional character in a play. You will become something far more rare, far more powerful, and far more beautiful. You will become a whole person, and from that place of integrated wholeness, your kindness will be real. Your strength will be authentic. Your love will be boundless. And your light will shine all the more brilliantly, not in spite of your darkness, but because you had the courage to embrace it. The next time you feel a trigger, an irrational anger, a biting envy, a wave of shame, don't run from it. Don't slam the basement door. Stop. Breathe. Turn toward the feeling with your lantern of curiosity and whisper a single, transformative question. I see you. You are a part of me. What gold have you come to show me? The answer will change your life.